Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Before we start talking about communications, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting today, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So today we talk about communications, and which is very important. There are two types of communications. There's internal and external, and like I said earlier before I started recording, internal communications is very important because that's how you keep your staff engaged. But because we are all very small organizations, community-based, we are not going to touch on internal communications because for that we need a specific intranet, which none of us have the money to have. So we talk external communications, which is what you share with the public and is easily available to the public through your newsletter, through your website, to your magazine, and social media. So the most important thing that I'll talk about is your website, because all of us have websites, no matter how big you are. And today you can make a free website thanks to ChatGPT. And so what should you have when you make your website? And about a month ago, Mariam, Supriya, Veena, and I work pro bono for a community organization called Family Violence, the Multicultural Women's Alliance Against Family Violence. We got a volunteer to do a website. So our website is now up to date. But keeping websites up to date for small organizations like ours is kind of difficult because we are not funded and we are always looking for volunteers to come and update our website. So the most important things that you need for your website is to make it easy to use and very welcoming. I have given details in the PDF, which I will send to you after our meeting this afternoon. Keep your content fresh and accurate. If you have tabs should always be on top. And if you have drop-down boxes from the tabs, make it very, very easy to understand for people to figure out where to find things. So your main tab should be self-explanatory. So if you have 5 events, your main tab should just say events, and then you have drop-down boxes, which gives details of individual events. Most important, because now most people look at everything on their tablets or on their phones, so it should be easily accessible on phones and tablets, because the older people, like me, I always prefer to read stuff on my desktop or on my laptop, but younger people are always on the phone. So it should be easily accessible on your phones and of course desktop, laptop, iPad. Update your website regularly to stay connected and to let everyone know what you're doing. And ideally, we would like to do it once a month, but if we don't have events, there's nothing. But in my paid work, I update it once every 2 months because that's where my magazine is. And I will share my magazine with you because the examples that I have given are all personal. It's a work that I do. So I can share it with you and I don't need anyone's permission. If you're sharing anybody else's website, please get permission. You can always co-share. It's a good idea. It just means that you work collaboratively with other organizations, but it's always a good idea to get permission, to ask other organizations that you work with if it is okay to share their website. So this is my website. I don't know if you can read it. What I have, because mine is a magazine, an e-magazine. I have a carousel, which is right here, which you can see. Can you see where my mouse is? Can you see? So this is where I have 4 stories here, every issue. And you can click on a button and it scrolls through 4 stories. I can't on this. I'll put this. You can't obviously on what I've shared with you because it is a PDF, but I will share the website details so you can actually scroll through and see the carousel and how each image and each heading is telling the story of what the article is going to be. Then I have on top 2 main stories, which is from the president and the vice president. So they are the leadership team. I have the table of contents for people who don't want to read the whole e-magazine. They can just click on the table of contents and choose what they want. And one of the most, this right-hand side content, the style that you see on the right-hand side, that is the most recent news and what is important to the college that I work in, the College of Surgeons. So it was last month, we had a big annual scientific congress where more than 1,750 people joined. So, we went day by day as to what happened for people who could not join. Then have a look. This I shared in my last workshop. Depending on what you share, people always want to know what is it in for them when you are sharing anything on the website. I did a story on our new elected and re-elected RACS council members. So there's a new president and the vice president, which is on top, and there are 8 new councillors and re-elected councillors. Have a look. They've shared it 208 times because people want to show what they have done. So keep the website relevant so that people want to share the news. If you're doing, Mariam, I know because you work in family violence, there are lots of stuff you can't share, but maybe the event that you have, share that. And again, if you have community leaders joining, do a generic photo of them, ask them if you can put them on the website. Please always ask for permission and then put it on your website. Now you can tag people when you do newsletters, and I'll show you how. So this is what we have in the website. What I also have are 3 tabs, but again, everything depends on how your website is laid out. My website is laid out differently, but if you look on top, it basically tells you what you can do. You can contribute. It tells you about the magazine. If you want to become a member, you can become a member. Again, when you get the PDF, you will see all of that. And please, at any point of time, if you have questions, please ask me. Stop me, ask me. So that was the website. Any questions on the website before I go on to what is a newsletter? Shivya?
No, I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay. Supriya? Supriya, any questions? You are on mute, so I can't hear.
Yeah, I just was saying there are no questions. I think the main issue is getting the expertise to change it.
Yeah. And to keep updating the website.
Yeah.
Which I think is for most of unfunded and non-funded community organizations like us. But we'll get there. I think I'm talking to one website developer. We can't afford to pay them, but I'm sure we can, among the 4 or 5 of us, Supriya, we can share our knowledge and we can do it. So the next one is, I'm going to go through newsletters, which is something that I love and I feel it's very important. So as you can see, a newsletter is a message or an update sent regularly, depending on the frequency, how often you do it. At my work, what I do, I send it every 2 months. At IndianCare, I know it's every quarter. And Supriya has been looking after the Alliance newsletter. The one time that she gave me, I only did it once because I didn't have enough news, but Supriya is very good at collecting news. So for the Alliance, we are going to do it once every month. And you share newsletters with your stakeholders, and newsletters are also shared a lot by stakeholders with their colleagues, which is what I see a lot. That if, Mariam, you are my stakeholder, and if you think there's something that is important that you want your colleagues to know, they will share the newsletter. And that happens very regularly with the work that I do, because if I'm talking about research and I have it in the newsletter, the surgeon who has been featured in the newsletter will then share it with his colleagues, with the hospital, and that's how you get engagement. And like I said, I put everything on the website. So when the surgeon is sharing a piece of information where he has been featured, it automatically, when Supriya clicks on it, because Mariam, you have shared it with Supriya, when Supriya clicks on it, I get engagement. So that's one click. Supriya will send it to Veena. Veena opens it. That's a second click. Veena sends it to Shivya. That's a third click. Then, Shivya sends it to me. That's four clicks. And it just keeps, that's how you build the engagement. And that's how I get 208 people, 208 views. One newsletter got 1,350 views. Not because I shared it, but because the surgeon who was featured shared it that many times. So newsletters are really good. And why are newsletters useful? It's because they are shared regularly, again, whether it's monthly, weekly. I don't think anyone does weekly. It's like too much, but I know some organizations do. Like I said, I do it every 2 months, so bi-monthly. Supriya will do it every month. You guys do it every quarter. And it is tailored specifically for a reader. Like for IndianCare, I know what you will do. You will do about all the events that you have had, whether it's family violence, whether it's the sports grant that you've got, whether it's mental health, whether it's all the well-being events that you're having, whether it's Baby Makes Sweet, whatever it is. For the Multicultural Alliance, Supriya likes featuring community members who work with us. So she, and that's something rare, because then people automatically, if I'm featured on the newsletter, I will automatically share it with my extended circle, whether it is on LinkedIn. Most professionals share it on LinkedIn. If I want to share it amongst my friends, I'll go to other social media like Facebook and Instagram, again, for younger people. I know a lot of people share it on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know how it works. So newsletters, they help organizations share important news. It builds relationship, like I said. They offer helpful advice, and they promote events or services. Mariam, I'm thinking if you have an event happening, maybe you do a short newsletter, just talking about the event. I mean, Shivya, if you have an event, you can do that also in a newsletter. It doesn't need to be, a 5-page newsletter. Even a two content blocks is more than enough. It's immediate. Like we do a lot of newsletters for events that are going to happen. I don't do it, but throughout the college, they keep doing it. Tells your stakeholders exactly what is happening, where to join, how to join, and what is it in for them. The most important thing, I've written, always write short, snappy newsletters. Maximum word count should be 30 to 35. I do 25 to 30. Because I was told, when I started doing communications and I did a course, I was told, treat everyone like a 12-year-old. So write simple English, which even a 12-year-old can understand, and make it short and snappy for people to know exactly what the newsletter is all about. So I basically do date, time, and what it is. And you can do that all in 25 words. And it can be just one sentence, because 20 to 25 words is the maximum that you do in any sentences. So that can be one sentence, which will have all the details with a link, which will go to your website. And I've written, ensure the corresponding picture tells a story. So we are going to do a workshop on just how to do pictures and how to marry your content with images, because that is very important. And I have some slides for you, which I will send, but I'll show you some. Before I go further, I just want to know if you have any questions on newsletters. No? I just thought I'll go through, no, I've done this, and I think the next one is have a look at my newsletter. So this is what we call the hero image. This was this is this is the May-June issue. So it went out on 20th of June. So this is a new council. I was talking about the big scientific congress that happened. This is a scientific congress. There is one ophthalmologist, I can never pronounce that word, who came in from states who talked about the state of healthcare in the US. And then I have talked about meet a new and elected councillors. And this is the one that had 208 shares. And if you notice, with every content, I've put a link. Can you see the blue links here? So and it's also a call to action. So I'm saying register now, which means, you know, if you want to be part of the Congress, this is your link. I'm not saying this is the link. I don't like writing read more or read here and more information here. That is now become old fashioned. So within your content, you should have the link. If you're saying my family violence event is called, let's say, Miriam IndianCare, I would put the link on Miriam IndianCare, which when people click on it, they will go to the website where they will have the details of what the event is, the date, the time, everything is there. Questions before we go to proceed further? Supriya, because you will be doing the website newsletter.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, often in the newsletters, which are very well done, or the newspapers like The Conversation, they will say, you know, click here. Yeah. They won't give you this big www and https kind of thing.
Yeah.
How do you embed that link in the newsletter?
So, okay.
Sometimes it's not going to your news site, but it's actually going to something on the web, you know, or it's going to something that you have the conversation is written about earlier.
Yep. So suppose let's say read more. I don't write read more anymore. I would say I'm doing a story on you, Supriya. So I will say Dr. Supriya Singh is giving a talk on sociology, just as, or let's say Dr. Supriya Singh is a sociologist. And what I'll do is I will highlight that, and there is something called tiny URL or bit.ly links. It is free, and I will put that in my PDF that I send to you. These are free services. You get 100 a month, and they are URL shorteners. So instead of writing www.supriya.org.au, it will create a very short link for you.
Oh,
yeah.
Can you demonstrate?
I will. I'll see. Hang on. I will have to go to. I can't do it here, but maybe after I stop sharing this, let me just see. Keep talking about yourself. Let me just see if I can do this. Okay. I can demonstrate it. Yeah, one sec. I don't think StreamYard lets me do 2 screens simultaneously, but let me just see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing the link. So I'm doing a bit.ly link for you. Let me just see if it comes up. Where is it? Shot in your link. I've done it. Okay, they're not letting me do it simultaneously. Bear with me, Supriya. I will show you because I can do this. This is how I do it. So I think it's because I've got two two screens open. It's not letting me do it.
Okay.
Let me just.
And maybe later you can just
No,
sort of
I will.
get
Yeah,
the
just bear
layout
with
of
me. I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to see if I've done it. Okay, I'm here. Okay, it's not letting me do because I'm presenting. I will show you after this. I've created the link. I will let me comment. Why is it not letting me show? Or because I'm recording. That's why. But after this, once I stop presenting, and because it is not um, and because it is not a live session in the sense I'm not casting it, it's not showing me. But after this, I'll show it to you. Okay. Let's do the next slide. If you don't have any questions on newsletters, we are doing a magazine. Everybody's done a magazine. So it offers an in-depth analysis, targeted content for specific interests and demographics, both e-magazines and print copies, but now mostly people do e-magazines because you save a lot of paper and you save a lot of money on postage. When I transferred from a print magazine to an e-magazine, which I have shown all of you, I saved $375,000. That's how much I saved because there was no printing, there was no packaging, there was no mailing. Plus, I was sending it to New Zealand, so shipping. $375,000 is a lot of money a year. So that's how much I saved. So again, like I said, magazines have a wider circulation with more visual effect, treat and treat a wider range of topics, not and again access to everybody. Before I go, magazine, I would any questions on this, or shall we go to media releases, which is what I actually want to talk about, and how you should share your work. All
I
right.
have a question.
Yes,
Sorry.
sorry, yes, Shivya.
So I just want to ask how relevant are magazines today because people have lost the habit of reading in depth and all. So would they prefer newsletters or magazines, or is it important to do both? Like,
I would think. I mean, personally, I prefer. My website is my entire magazine. So most people are now putting it digitally. I mean, yes, if you go to, there are still magazines being sold. How many of them? I don't know what the reach is, to be honest, because I don't pick up a print magazine. I haven't for more than 10 years. If you ask me personally, I feel an online magazine is good because on the website, yes, you can have a lot of it, a lot of information, but you also need to keep updating it regularly. A magazine is you can cover 60 pages and you don't have to read everything, you know, Shivya, you can just skip through stuff. You may be interested in Snigdha Sharma. I may be interested in, I can't see this guy who's standing behind the Sydney Harbour Bridge. You know, I want to know. I am a cricketing buff. So anything to do with cricket in a magazine, I will automatically read it. I am very keen on world politics. And so I will read that too. So I think every publication has its use.
okay, yep.
Does it under? So if you're talking in terms of IndianCare, we don't have a magazine. We have a website.
Yep.
But yes, I think there are many people who will read a magazine.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very
I
much.
mean, I read Better Homes and Gardens. I love it. It tells me what to plant in July, what to plant in in December. That's what I want to know. Sometimes it tells me, and sometimes I just read because I just want to read. It tells me what are the colors of the season. I mean, I won't change my wall color depending on the season, but there are people who do. So it does have a lot of its uses. I mean, again, depends from person to person. And I think every single publication has its usefulness. If you
Yeah.
ask a if you ask my daughter, I don't think she will read a magazine. She will read a newsletter and a website. But I like I said, I read Better Homes and Gardens. I love it.
Yep. Yeah. Makes sense. Fair enough.
So yeah. So
But you can do a magazine and then highlight
put
it
it
in
on.
the newsletter. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. But I'm just guessing. I haven't seen any magazine which has its own newsletter. To be honest, what I no, that is not true. National Geographic has a newsletter every day, and it is an online magazine, but you have to pay to access it.
Okay, but Sunday, like the Sunday magazine for The Age
Yep,
or
yeah,
the New York Times,
that's
they
right.
have longer pieces and they highlight it either,
In data,
in the bit that they send out every day, the digital bit that they send out every day, highlighting the main news or
yeah.
interesting news. So on Saturday or Friday, they will highlight what's coming in the Sunday magazine.
Thanks, Supriya. Shivya, that answers your question.
Yep. Sure did. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I know National Geographic actually. I like National Geographic. I like to read all kinds of stuff, but you have to pay to access any news. But the newsletter comes out every single day, and you're right. Even New York Times, they have a newsletter which links to their website. So as I said, and I'm guessing lots of people will actually pay for a hard copy. But what I get from New York Times now is, pay 50 cents a month for 4 months of access, and then they will charge you $11.99 or $50 for a monthly subscription. I mean, that's a way of luring people to read their content and publications, which is fair because you have to still pay journalists who go out to get all the news. Shall I go to media releases? Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All of us do awesome work. And yet we never share enough of the work that we do. To be fair, I know at the Multicultural Women's Alliance, I always get at least 2 to 3. We invite close to 3, 4 journalists, don't we? Huh, Veena? We always invite journalists, and we always have 1 or 2 attending our events. And Mariam, for IndianCare too, I have invited journalists, and I think there is one who's always there. And if they're not there, I do the media release. So it is called a press release. It's a short document that shares important news with newspapers, radio, TV, or online news platforms, and always written by someone from the organization, business, or community group. And it is important because it is an important piece of news. It's an official announcement, and it also helps journalists to attend events. And I'll give you an example. For the last 8 years, I have been part of this organization called Peace Meals. Peace Meals is basically inviting refugees and asylum seekers. It used to be every 6 weeks, but now it is every few months, inviting refugees and asylum seekers to a restaurant and introducing them to established Australians. It's basically and we start conversations over a plate of food to break barriers because nothing connects us like food. And I actually I stepped down from the board earlier this year because I was doing too many pro bono work. And I've always tried to get journalists. We have journalists from SBS, we've had journalists from the Indian Sun who have come and covered our events. I even had a journalist from India who talked about us because she read about about Peace Meals dinner because I put it up on our website. Last week, I had a journalist who called me up from 7 News who wanted to know what Peace Meals was all about. So I told her I was not part of Peace Meals anymore, and I gave her the content. But the concept is so unique when you get, asylum seekers and refugees to sit at a table and breaking barriers, because we have this closed mind about refugees and asylum seekers. But when they mix with other people, established Australians, we've had people who have, with just chatting with people, with the person sitting next to them, they have sometimes just got a job. Maybe it's a casual job, but a job nonetheless. And last week's dinner was at a pub. So there are many homeless people, single people who come to the pub for a pint or for a meal. And so it was a shared platter. And Bendigo Bank gave some money, and 50 people attended. And that is what 7 News wanted to cover. So just wanted to let you guys know that when you're writing a media release, which all of us should all the time, I know Supriya and I do it regularly whenever we have an event, we have the most important information first. And the most important information are the 5 W's and the 1 H, which is who, what, when, where, why, and how. Because everybody wants to know what is it in for them before, when they read anything. So even when we are writing anything, any article, any content that we are creating, whether it's a website, whether it's a newsletter, whether it's a magazine, remember the 5 W's and the 1 H. And for a media release, 1 media spokesperson per organization for consistency. Most of I know for IndianCare, it is Jaya. And for the Multicultural Alliance, it's normally Supriya, who is our media contact. And if it is not Supriya, it is, we have another board member called Sabi Kaple. She is also the representative and spokesperson for the Alliance. I'm just sharing a media release that came out in May. So in December last year, my Facebook got hacked. I think I've talked about it that many times. And I went to IndianCare for help. And this is a media release that they sent. So have a look at cyber criminals, target charity, helping vulnerable migrant women. So the minute you read the headline and the heading, you know what it is all about. So it's talking about how I've helped years helping whatever, vulnerable women. So you know what it is. And of course, the second paragraph talks about my community and my podcast, my community Facebook page. I'm going to go to the next slide because it gives more details. And then it talks about the organization that helped me. So they've talked about IndianCare. So that is where everybody should know, the 5 W's and the 1 H. And this media release is also now available. Business Victoria has put this on their website, which is what I put in, because at the end of the day, we want to talk about our own organization. But instead of putting our own organization in the first paragraph, we put it in the second or the third paragraph because we tell a story first. And communication is all about storytelling. Again, I think this is the last one. Please ask me any questions you have about media releases before I send this to you guys.
What should be the maximum word length for a media release? Like for newsletters, it should be.
Yeah. Okay. So I would do media releases which are about 300 words, as much information as you can. Thank you for asking me that question, Shivya. I should have talked about this. What I do, 1 thought per paragraph. So let's look at what IndianCare is done. So it's talked about many small businesses and charities across Australia. I had never imagined that I would be a target for cybercrime. But when my personal email, social media accounts, and charitable page was compromised, criminals impersonated her, targeting the very women she was trying to protect. And I think everybody knows, I don't know if you guys know, but I know Supriya and Veena are aware of my page being compromised. And then IndianCare talks about how they helped me. So because I turned to IndianCare, the National Scam Identity and Cyber Support Service, and through their small business cyber resilience service, funded by the federal government, IndianCare helped her recover access to her accounts and strengthen her cyber resilience. So I would see, they have got one thought per paragraph. So you know exactly what's happening. 200 to 250 to 300 words, that's a maximum you should aim for with all the information.
All right.
And if at any point, Shivya, you want to write a media release and you're struggling, just send it to me. You know,
Sure.
I help Shruti and Vasu write stuff, so I will always help you.
Yep. Thank you.
I mean, I think at the Alliance, we are very fortunate because Supriya is a journalist, so she knows exactly what is newsworthy. But a lot of I had to learn how to write a media release. And again, you know, I'm just a bit conscious that I don't want to share other organizations' media releases. So when this came in May to me for approval, because IndianCare wanted to ask me if it was okay for them to share my story, I thought this was a perfect media release that I could share with you guys. And then a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, when IndianCare again sent me a link and asked me if it was okay that Business Victoria wants to share this story for small businesses and charitable organizations. The story is not about me. The story is about actually IndianCare and the work that they are doing. But they're telling a story. They're using me as a case study and how they helped me to promote their services. And that's what we want to do. It's obviously very difficult to do that with family violence. I would just change a person's name. Suppose you're writing about, let's say, Mukta, but Mukta is a real person. I wouldn't even use her name. Like last week on Saturday, I had gone to a fundraising dinner, and I met this woman, and Veena and Supriya know about it because I told them. I met this woman. We were just chatting, and she talked about how she went through family violence and how, you know, for 5 years, she went through this whole system of where to get help, how to get help, and how she got help, who helped her, and how mainstream services were failing her. And because she had a little baby, for 5 years, she took the violence because she didn't want her child to suffer. And she has been separated now for, I think, 5 years or 7 years, and she's a businesswoman. And she's got a franchise for Avis cars. And it was so heartening to see what she has achieved in 5 years as a single woman with no family. She came in as an international student. You know, she got her husband. The husband got his entire family. And how after they've all moved and got their PR, the abuse started. And how she had to navigate the complex the family violence system because she did not know where to get help. Unlike all migrant women, she did not want to leave her house. You know, she wasn't doing a full-time job because she was looking after her child. Where to get help? She just wanted the violence to stop. And yet the violence wasn't stopping. And then when her son was 5 years old, she decided, that is it, I'm not going to take it anymore. And it took her 5 years to walk out of that relationship when her son was 10 years old. So for 5 years, she was navigating, she was running from this service provider to another service provider, and she wants to share her story. I mean, Supriya asked me a very pertinent question. Does she help other migrant women going through family violence? No, she doesn't. I mean, also, I didn't ask her because I was so captivated at what women go through and the resilience that they have. I think I didn't have time to ask her. It didn't even strike me. But if I were to share her story, I would change her name, but I would share the entire story in like 200 words, and then either highlight IndianCare if I was doing a media release for IndianCare, or I would highlight the Multicultural Women's Alliance if I was doing a media release for the Multicultural Women's Alliance,
But
because I want to showcase my work.
Saleha, this would also be a good story to show the gaps in the system,
Oh yes, absolutely,
and maybe we
absolutely.
could do that.
Yeah, I will
It's
introduce you to her.
interesting the media release you shared with us, and that it had impact. But generally, it's too wordy, isn't it? I
Most
mean,
media
they
release.
could have started with a quote from you. They could have
Yeah,
started with a quote,
yeah,
and then maybe you know. Basically what they did, in terms of and dot points, yeah.
yeah.
Or
Well,
you
most
don't
media
think
releases don't do dot com.
you don't think that would have worked?
No, well, I think what trying to do is tell a story, and they used it in the first paragraph. Dot points in
Right,
media releases don't work. You just do. They want it short because you don't want to share everything. You want the journalist to come to your event, or you want them to call you up, and you want to give them the whole story,
right.
right? You don't want to write for journalists because journalists want their own stories. The media releases after the event, and then they will contact you and ask you what has happened, because a media release is not a story, though. They're not going to carry this story because idcare idcare wrote this media release. Business Victoria called them up and put it on their website. And if you click on the link, the website, I think, has a quote from me. That's their
All right.
starting line. So
Okay.
people change it depending on how they want the story to read. At the end of the day, they are saying ID Care is promoting their business. And see, it's all through word of mouth. When IndianCare needed to check their to check the strength of their cyber security and to check how strong their passwords were, they asked me, and I put them in touch with IDCare.
Okay.
And IDCare was so helpful. And they don't charge you for small community organizations. They don't charge you for any of that because they're funded by the federal government. They're funded by a lot of big organization banks, superannuation funds. They
Well,
all
it
support
worked, yeah.
IDCare.
It
It
worked.
worked. Yeah, it worked. Mariam, ask me questions, please.
I think it's pretty straightforward. So I don't have questions as of now, and later on when I'm reflecting on it, and maybe I'll
Yeah,
have questions
yeah,
in our
absolutely.
next
Write to
meeting.
me so that I know, um, so that I know what I'm sharing is actually relevant. And of course, I will share this PDF. And once I share the PDF, I think you click on links. You can then figure out the whole story, and also, Business Victoria that I've sent. Annual report. I wish Vasu was here because I work with Vasu on annual report every year. Supriya, Veena, and I don't have to do the annual report as part of the alliance because we are not funded, but IndianCare does. So it's a comprehensive document that an organization publishes to summarize its activity over the past 12 months. And what is typically included is financial statements, highlights of major projects, statistics, messages from the leadership. Normally, it's for IndianCare, it's a message from Jaya, from the secretary, which is Monia, and it's also from Ramu, who's a treasurer. And we also do, it's all about why our annual report's important. It's transparency, accountability. It tells the stakeholders exactly what you're doing. It's a legal and a regulatory compliance document, especially if you're funded. Um, it's a good marketing tool because it showcases to the stakeholders exactly what projects you have done. It's a reflection planning for the upcoming year. And as I said, I think I've done stakeholder engagement twice. And for community organizations, I've written that, annual reports are valuable for grant applications, as funding organizations want to see evidence of effective programs. This is the annual report that I did. So because it is all about surgeons, the image in the cover tells the story. I don't do images, but it tells a story. I have a colleague who's a graphic designer who's actually going to come in July and will share how images tell the story. They say picture says 1,000 words, and that's what she's going to do for every single document that you produce, whether it is an annual report, whether it's website, whether it's social media, whether it's a newsletter. So, I mean, looking at this, I would think you would immediately know it's something to do with medicine. And the new way, it's not new. I've been doing it for the last 6-7 years. Instead of putting too many words, I mean, I always feel people don't have time to read anymore. So I do very short, snappy content. And trust me, if you write 100 words, you can, when you go back and read it, say 2 hours later, you know what words are not required and you can remove it. That's what I do. When I write something, I let it incubate for 24 hours. And when I go back 24 hours later, I know what words I can take out. You go back after 48 hours, you can still take out a lot more. So let it incubate. I mean, I know time is of essence, but that's what I do. That's why I start my work very early, so that I have at least a week to go through what I've written and remove words. So this is how I do my annual report. So RACSA is the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons Trainees Association. So it says it is a voice of our trainee surgeons. See, this is 150 words. And then I've done, this is what my graphic designer has done. She's got a quote here. And every heading tells you exactly what it is. JDocs is about supporting pre-vocational doctors towards a surgical career. Again, very short. I'll show you the next one. This is how I do my highlights. So instead of writing a lot of content, it's all numbers. So you know exactly what it is. So 1.3 given in scholarships, 94% completed their compliance training. Then, 82.6% people sat for exams. So all of this, just numbers. And we just have a look. It's just one sentence each. I don't do more than one sentence. What is my next slide? Important. With people's attention span dwindling, use shorter and impactful content and use more images. Use infographics to tell a story. And again, for today's world, social media, we will discuss this in detail on 11th of July. I'm going to stop sharing now. Where is my remove? Okay. Questions, people, before I send this to you, and we are just about an hour. Did everything I said today make sense? Yeah, don't be kind to me. I need to know where I have to improve.
No, it was all very simple. I mean, just the way you articulate everything and, in short sentences. I mean, the way you write, it's also the way you speak. So I think
thank you.
It's very to the point. So it's easy to understand.
Yeah, straightforward and something to follow, like do this and...
I'm most interested in learning how to be more visual.
Yep.
I learned how to do words.
Yep.
But now visual and videos. And I think, any organization that doesn't do Instagram is missing a whole market. And
I agree.
we don't do Instagram because our people are not on Instagram. But that means we are missing a whole generation of people.
Absolutely. And
So,
to To be honest, Supriya, I met some young people yesterday at the VMC meeting, and TikTok and Instagram is what they
Yeah,
do.
TikTok and
Face,
Instagram.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But you said you'd be getting somebody to teach us how
yeah,
to do that.
yeah. That's on
It
11th
would
of
help
July.
because
Yeah,
it's only an hour. I find it would help if you sent some material before, so
I'll
that
ask. Yeah,
some of that stuff, like some of the wordy stuff can get over with, and we can actually learn how to do it.
okay, okay.
And
Yep,
maybe we
I'll
could
tell
try,
Renata. Yeah,
from that wordy stuff. I mean, I'd love to play around with it and then find out what mistakes I've made,
sure.
because nobody in my circle is only on Instagram. I get
Yeah,
them through
yeah,
LinkedIn, or you get a lot of people through Facebook. But so that's how, I'm not good on Instagram. I do look at Instagram and it's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
They have about
Everybody's on there. Yeah.
15 words and an image and a movement, and it's there. It's amazing. It's amazing journalism, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is, and every single publication, all young people are there. I just told you earlier about how this journalist from Channel 7 called me up to
Uh,
ask about the dinner that happened last week at Peace Meals. So I called up Kate, who is the founder of Peace Meals, and she said to me that she gave $100 from her own money. See, when you're not funded, everything that you give is like, you're spending from your own money. She paid $100 to Instagram. She did a paid promotion. 500 people, she said 500 people looked at it. That was her engagement. From nothing, it was always word of mouth. And Channel 7 saw that and got in touch with me, because I think my name is still there and my number is still there. So Channel 7 just called me up. So all these years of writing and Indian Sun covering it and SBS covering it, no TV station came to us, but one Instagram post, and you had Channel 7 there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you never know.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
Instagram
we
is
need to
what. Yeah.
do. And how you do that, how you get that image, and how you get those 15 words or whatever. I've not seen too many words on Instagram.
Um, that I
They
don't
link
think
it,
is
you can
built.
link it, yeah? They
You
link
cannot
it
put
and it's
links
below
on
somewhere.
Instagram. No. So that's another thing. You cannot put links on Instagram.
Oh, you cannot put a link.
Instagram doesn't let you, because it is all about a picture telling 1,000 stories. That's how it started, picture. So what publications now are doing is they're writing about a paragraph and they say link in the bio. And that's what Renata will teach you, how to get where to put the link. It's a pretty convoluted way, but it is a good way to do it, because we learn new things. I still haven't figured out Instagram, and because I know what to write on LinkedIn. And again, Facebook has a different audience. Facebook is now for the older generation. Instagram is for, LinkedIn is for professionals. Instagram is for the youth and everyone else, and TikTok also. And so, yes, 11th, I will send a meeting request. I will send the link to the meeting. It's on 11th from 3 to 4, because that's, yeah,
Three
that's
to
when,
four.
I think that is what it is. Just bear with me. It's on the 11th.
Well,
Yes, it is 3 to 4 on the 11th, Supriya,
yeah.
because that's
But
the time
you
she
see,
is
the
available.
thing is, if you could, if the person who's presenting on Instagram could send us some
Yeah,
recipe
I'll tell
kind
her.
stuff before.
Absolutely. I'll tell her. Yeah. That'll be good. That will
I
be
mean,
good
we
for all
don't
of you.
need a big spiel on how good it is. We know it's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
just that we don't do it.
Yep. And we need to do it. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I think we
and
need to do, yeah.
everybody. I think now the generational divide is also moving, because, like, we all know, in order to communicate, the audience is there. So I think it reaches, I mean, people who do LinkedIn and Facebook read Instagram.
Everybody reads Instagram.
Everybody reads Instagram. Not everybody does LinkedIn and
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, I also have to leave.
Okay.
But
It,
Saleha, I'll be in touch with you later on.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'll send you the PDF.
Thank you,
Okay.
Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye. Thank you for
Bye.
joining. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.